There's a moment in life when someone we care about begins to fade. A friend stops calling. A partner walks away. A connection that once felt eternal begins to slip through our fingers. And no matter how hard we try to hold on, it becomes clear they're no longer walking beside us. The silence grows louder. The questions echo. Why do they change? What did I do wrong? How do I let go of someone who still lives in my heart? Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the foundation of Stoic wisdom. Not to suppress emotion, but to master it. Not to become cold, but to remain clear in the face of loss. Not to stop caring, but to stop suffering unnecessarily. In this video, you will learn how to free yourself from emotional attachment without losing your humanity. We will explore 5 timeless Stoic principles drawn from the writings of Marcus Aurelius that can help transform pain into power and heartbreak into inner peace. Let's begin. Losing someone you care about can feel like losing a part of yourself. One moment, your life is filled with shared memories, conversations, and connection. The next, there's silence, distance, absence, and in that space, a deep emptiness begins to grow. You replay old moments over and over in your mind. You wonder what you could have done differently. You check your phone, hoping for a message that never comes. You feel anxious, restless, and unsure of your worth. This is emotional dependence, when your peace becomes tied to someone else's presence, words, or attention. It's a cycle of rumination and overthinking. You try to make sense of their behavior. You search for control in a situation that's no longer in your hands. You may even blame yourself, thinking if only you had said more, done more, or held on tighter, things would be different. But this pain, as intense as it feels, is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you once cared deeply. And it's also a signal, a powerful invitation to grow, to reclaim your strength, and to rediscover the person you are without them. This is where Stoicism becomes more than just philosophy. It becomes a guide, a practical, time-tested path to help you step out of the storm and into clarity. The Stoics didn't teach us to suppress emotions. They taught us to understand them, to recognize what's within our control and what isn't, to let go, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. And it begins with one decision, the decision to stop suffering for what is already gone and start living for what you still hold, your mind, your actions, and your peace. Stoicism is not about being emotionless. It is about facing life with strength, clarity, and purpose. It is a philosophy born in ancient Greece and developed in Rome, designed to help people deal with pain, loss, fear, and uncertainty. At its core, Stoicism teaches one simple truth. While we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can always control how we respond. It is a way of thinking that transforms suffering into growth and chaos into calm. One of the greatest voices of Stoic philosophy was Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. Despite ruling during war, plague, and personal hardship, he remained steady. He kept a private journal, now known as Meditations, where he recorded thoughts to guide himself through adversity. In those pages, we find timeless wisdom. He reminded himself daily that emotions are natural, but our reactions are a choice. He urged himself to focus only on what was within his control, his thoughts, his character, his actions. Marcus Aurelius was not detached because he didn't feel. He was detached because he understood. He knew that holding on to what cannot be controlled only brings suffering, and he believed that true strength is found in the calm acceptance of life's changes. Stoicism does not ask you to stop feeling. It asks you to stop being ruled by those feelings. It does not ask you to close your heart. It asks you to open your mind. This is the path we walk together now, a path where emotion meets wisdom and pain becomes a teacher. Letting go is like climbing a mountain. The path is steep, the air gets thin, and every step can feel heavy. But with each step upward, your perspective begins to change. The higher you go, the more clearly you see. And when you reach the top, The pain that once consumed you feels smaller, no longer in control. Emotional detachment is not about escaping the climb. It's about finding the strength to keep moving even when it hurts. It's about rising above what once held you down. Now we begin that ascent together. Let's explore 5 Stoic principles, 5 solid pillars that will guide you through the process of emotional detachment. Each one is a step forward. Each one brings you closer to peace, clarity, and strength. Life is always changing. People evolve, circumstances shift, emotions rise and fall. Nothing stays exactly the same. Not even the connections we once believed were unbreakable. Yet we often hold on tightly to the illusion of permanence. We believe that relationships will last forever, that feelings won't change, that what we love today will always be within reach. And when life proves otherwise, we suffer, not because of what happened, but because of the false belief that it shouldn't have. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. This means our version of someone, the role they played in our lives, the importance we gave them, is shaped by our own perception. And when they leave or change, we don't just lose the person. We lose the story we created around them. Imagine trying to hold a handful of sand at the beach. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Relationships are much the same. The more we try to possess someone, the more we resist the natural flow of life, the more we suffer. True strength lies in accepting that everything is temporary. The joy, the pain, the connection, it all comes and goes like waves. By embracing this truth, we begin to appreciate the present more fully, without the desperation to make it last forever. Think about a friendship or relationship from your past, one that felt essential at the time. You shared moments, dreams, maybe even believed it would last forever. But then, things changed. Slowly or suddenly, the connection faded. And though it hurt, you continued on. You adapted. You grew. This is the power of accepting impermanence. It does not mean we stop loving. It means we love without clinging. We allow people to come and go, knowing that nothing is truly ours to keep, but everything is ours to cherish while it lasts. Acceptance is not defeat. It is freedom. When you stop resisting the truth of change, you stop suffering from it. And from that place of clarity, healing begins. Emotions often rise before we even realize it. A wave of sadness, a spark of anger, a sudden feeling of fear. These reactions are natural. But what we often forget is that emotions are not the source of our suffering. Our thoughts are. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What this means is simple. Your inner world is shaped not by what happens to you, but by how you interpret what happens. Imagine this situation. You send a heartfelt message to someone you care about. An hour passes, then 2, then an entire day, and there's no reply. Instantly, your mind starts filling in the silence. Did I say something wrong? Are they ignoring me? Do they not care anymore? But pause for a moment. What are the actual facts? The only fact is they haven't responded. Everything else is your mind creating a story, one that may not be true. This is where Stoicism becomes powerful. It teaches us to separate reality from assumption, to ask, what do I know for sure? And what am I imagining based on fear or insecurity? When you train yourself to see clearly, your emotions lose their grip. You no longer spiral into anxiety over things that exist only in your thoughts. Here is a simple exercise. Take a moment and write down 3 thoughts you've had recently during an emotional moment. Now, for each one, ask, is this a fact or just an interpretation? Is there evidence for this belief? What would be a more rational way to see this situation? By rewriting your thoughts with logic, you begin to take back control. You stop letting emotions drive your actions, and instead, let reason guide your path. You're not your thoughts. You're the observer of your thoughts. And when you choose which ones to believe, you shape the world within you. To govern your emotions, you must first govern your mind. That is the Stoic way, and that is how true emotional freedom begins. What if one day, the person you care about most was no longer in your life? At first, that question feels painful. It feels wrong to even imagine. But in Stoic philosophy, this practice has a name: negative visualization. It is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create awareness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not disturb yourself by imagining your whole life. Take each moment as it comes, with balance and control." The Stoics believed that by imagining loss in advance, we prepare our minds for the inevitable changes of life. Everything we love, people, places, moments, is temporary. And by facing this truth, we don't become cold. We become present. Think of someone close to you. Now imagine what life would be like without them. Not because you want that to happen, but because one day it might. And when you allow yourself to see that possibility, something shifts. You begin to value their presence more deeply. You speak with more honesty. You hold moments with more gratitude. This is the power of visualizing loss. It does not weaken the bond. It strengthens your appreciation for what you have now. Inevitably, life will ask us to let go. Sometimes suddenly, sometimes slowly, but always eventually. And when that moment comes, we suffer less if our minds have already rehearsed it with courage. This practice also prepares us emotionally, not for despair, but for resilience. When a friend moves away, when a relationship ends, when someone we love fade from our life, we are not caught unprepared. We're not destroyed by surprise. Instead, we respond with calm, not because we feel less, but because we have learned to accept more. Everything you love is destined to change. This is not a reason to fear. It is a reason to love more fully, more consciously, and with open eyes. To visualize loss is to awaken to the present. And in that presence, we discover the kind of love that does not cling but cherishes, that does not possess but honors, that does not fear the end but values the now. One of the most important truths in Stoic philosophy is this: you cannot control other people. You can only control yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When we are emotionally attached to someone, it's natural to want to influence how they feel about us. We try to explain, to fix, to prove our worth. But the more we focus on changing someone else, the more powerless we become. You cannot control their emotions. You cannot control their choices. You cannot control whether they stay or leave. But you can control how you respond. You can control the story you tell yourself. You can control the direction of your own healing. Imagine trying to save a relationship that has already begun to fall apart. You give more. You try harder. You sacrifice your own peace to hold onto something that no longer wants to be held. And in the process, you lose yourself. This is what happens when we focus on what's outside our control. We become trapped in a cycle of frustration and pain, constantly reacting to things we cannot change. But the moment you shift your focus inward, something powerful happens. You reclaim your energy. You reclaim your clarity. You begin to heal, not because the situation changed, but because you change how you approached it. Here's a simple practice. Today, identify 3 things you cannot control. It could be someone's behavior, their feelings, or the past. Then write down 3 things you can control right now: your thoughts, your actions, your mindset. By doing this, you train your mind to return to its true power. You learn to let go of what's beyond your reach and take full ownership of your inner world. To focus on others is to give away your strength. To focus on yourself is to step into freedom. This is not selfishness. This is wisdom, and it is the beginning of emotional detachment, not through distance, but through self-mastery. When we experience emotional pain, especially the loss of a relationship, it can feel like our entire world is falling apart. Our thoughts become consumed by one person, one story, one moment in time. And in that narrow focus, we begin to forget everything else we are. But life is bigger than this one experience. You are more than this pain. You are more than this relationship. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Soon you will have forgotten everything. Soon everyone will have forgotten you. Live with purpose now." This is not a message of despair. It is a reminder of perspective. One day, the situation you're facing now will be just a memory. One day, what feels unbearable today will no longer define you. And that day begins when you start to zoom out. Think back to a time in your life when you felt broken. Maybe it was another relationship, a betrayal, a loss. In that moment, it felt endless. But time passed. You changed. You healed. That storm became part of your story, but not the whole story. This is how we must view our pain today. Like a single page in a much larger book. One chapter in a life full of many. If you read only one page over and over, you miss the rest of the story. You miss the growth, the transformation, the peace still waiting ahead. When you step back and see the bigger picture, you regain clarity. You remember your dreams, your values, your journey. You stop letting one person's presence or absence define your worth. Emotional detachment does not mean forgetting. It means remembering who you are beyond the moment, beyond the attachment, beyond the temporary pain. This is the fifth Stoic principle. Zoom out, see the vastness of your life, and realize that what hurts today is just one part of a greater, unfolding story. Emotional detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of strength. It is the decision to stop giving your peace away to what you cannot control. Today, we explored 5 Stoic principles that can guide you through this process. First, accept impermanence. Everything changes. Nothing lasts forever. And that is what makes each moment valuable. Second, govern your mind, not your emotions. Your thoughts shape your inner world. Choose them wisely. Third, visualize loss to value the present. When you face the possibility of losing what you love, you learn to cherish it more deeply. Fourth, focus on what is within your control. Let go of trying to change others. Take responsibility for your own peace. And fifth, see the bigger picture of your life. This pain is a single page, not your entire story. These are not just ideas. They are tools. And when practiced, they unlock a new kind of freedom, a calm, steady strength that no one can take from you. Because the truth is simple. You're not here to control others. You are here to master yourself. And when you do that, no one else has the power to hurt you. If this message spoke to your heart, take a moment to like this video. Share in the comments one insight or phrase that stayed with you. And if someone in your life is struggling, send this to them. Together, we grow stronger.